It's a story many of us know intimately, a pattern woven so deeply into the fabric of our lives that we barely notice it's there. Some of us appear to have an almost uncanny, above-average talent for finding ourselves, time and again, in unfulfilling relationships. Our unions might begin with the bright, dazzling promise of hope. We dream of shared futures, of mutual support, of a love that feels like coming home. But in time, the vibrant colors fade to gray. The familiar, chilling problems set in, a profound lack of affection, a cavernous absence of intimacy, an emotional frost that settles over everything. And sometimes, in the most painful of betrayals, there are affairs. When these issues rear their heads, a person with healthy emotional boundaries would likely know what to do. They would see the red flags for what they are, warnings of a coming storm. They would recognize that however lovely the start might have been, the present reality is untenable. It's time to leave, and fairly fast. Common sense dictates that someone who has messed us around as this partner has, or been as consistently cold, or even as quietly sadistic, does not deserve a second, third, or 100th chance. They have shown you who they are. But for a particular group of us, this is precisely the moment we begin to show our distinctive and often self-destructive colors. This is where our true, tragic talent shines. For us, hope springs eternal, a stubborn weed in a barren garden. Yes, the partner may presently be somewhat or even profoundly disappointing, but we tell ourselves this is just a phase. Soon, they will recover the person they were in the beginning. Admittedly, they have become hugely unkind in many ways, but didn't they apologize so beautifully and sincerely last week? We hold on to that apology like a precious jewel, conveniently forgetting that it came just before they repeated the exact same offense. And so, against all available evidence, we cling to the belief that there is a decent chance things will be on an upswing over the longer term. We become gamblers at the slot machine of their affection, certain the next pull will be the jackpot. To any outside observer, the faith that we have in our partner can appear baffling, almost quasi-religious in its intensity. Our friends and family watch in dismay, asking the questions we cannot ask ourselves. Why do you keep giving your unreliable companion so much leeway? Why do you hope against all hope? Why don't you simply cut your losses right now and leave this painful situation? Why are you so utterly convinced that with just a little more effort on your part, one more carefully crafted, heart-wrenching discussion, one more long email poured out in the lonely early hours of the morning, everything will magically alter? And perhaps most tellingly, why do you keep assuming that you have done something wrong, that their unhappiness is your fault, and that it's primarily your role to apologize and make amends? The explanation, as is so often the case, is not found in the present relationship, but in the distant echoes of our past. We grew into these endlessly hopeful people not by choice, but of absolute necessity. We almost certainly spent our formative childhood years in circumstances where we had no option but to become enormous believers in the potential goodness of our parents and, simultaneously, enormous doubters of ourselves. When we were little, we couldn't afford the luxury of objective analysis. We couldn't look at a parent and conclude, this person is disappointing, wounded, and incapable of giving me what I need. I should limit my interaction with them and then, when I am able, walk away. That is the thought process of an adult with agency. We were 4, 5, or 6 years old. Our very survival, physical, and emotional depended on their care. So we did what all children of unfulfilling, inconsistent, or cruel parents instinctively do. We started to think ill of ourselves. We turned the blame inward because it was the only variable we could control. It was less terrifying to believe, I am flawed and must try harder to be lovable, than to accept the terrifying truth. The person who is supposed to protect me is unreliable or unsafe. We developed a painful genius for wondering what was wrong with us, for assembling complicated, overly generous, and fantastical explanations for the bad behavior of the adults around us. We evolved an expectant, hypervigilant stance towards whatever tiny morsel of love our parent, might intermittently throw our way. We became, in essence, excited by deprivation. This is the cruel heart of the dynamic. All day long, they might have been ill-tempered, dismissive, or cruel to us. The house might have been filled with a tense, anxious silence. But then, perhaps at nightfall, just for a moment, they might say something sweet, offer a rare compliment, or ruffle our hair. In that instant, the relief was so immense, so powerful, that it became the most potent drug we'd ever known. This unpredictable cycle of pain followed by fleeting relief became the most exciting and appalling game of our young lives. Is it any wonder, then, that as adults, we continue to be addicted to this very tension? It has come to seem, on a deep and unconscious level, that this is what love is. It is the pain-tinged, continuous, anxious expectation that an unfulfilling person might abruptly turn around and be nice to us again. Love, in our skewed definition, is the agonizing wait for someone who was once slightly kind to resume their interest. The drama, the highs and lows, the desperate hope this feels like passion, like life. It doesn't strike us that authentic love might actually be something quite different, simpler, quieter, and far less tortured. An ongoing, reliable, and predictable exchange of mutually respectful sympathy, support, and gentleness. And that if a relationship is not this, we should leave at once. Indeed, if we have the troubled fortune to meet a genuinely reliable, kind, and stable soul, we will probably respond to them with a visceral feeling of nausea and bewilderment. Their consistency feels boring. Their kindness feels suspicious. Their lack of drama feels like a lack of passion. We don't know what to do with a peace we've never known, and so we flee in short order, perhaps running straight back to the familiar, chaotic arms of the last, unfulfilling partner. The toll we pay in terms of wasted years, emotional energy, and lost opportunities is truly lamentable. Whereas others among us are able to build and enjoy calm, kindly relationships, we get locked into exhausting, soul-crushing scenarios with perturbed and damaged individuals. The ones who subtly mess us around, who say one thing and do another, who withhold physical affection as a tool of control, who blow hot and cold, leaving us in a constant state of confusion. They may be having affairs, breaking promises, and continually pledging to change, but never do. And the worst, most tragic part is that for all our suffering, this somehow excites us. This chaos keeps us on our toes. This feels like the work we are meant to be doing. We simply know nothing else. Our emotional compass is broken, and it keeps pointing us back to the storm. But we can choose to fix it. We have to start to believe what our childhoods never allowed us to think. Some people need to be given up on. This is not an act of cruelty, but an act of profound self-preservation. Certain seemingly ordinary and even charming people are, in fact, very damaged, and they will, consciously or not, hurt and bully those around them. Some people, despite possessing a few lovely qualities, will, when considered in the round, work an entirely negative and corrosive effect on our lives. It is not our role to be their detective, their therapist, or their savior. We do not need to keep second-guessing unfulfilling people to spin elaborate stories as to why they may be doing what they do. It is not your job to excavate the ruins of their past to find a reason for their present cruelty. We don't need to think more about their psychology than they care to themselves. We need to do something much simpler and much more powerful. Look very closely at what they do, not what they say, and not why they might be as they are. Trust the data of their actions over the poetry of their apologies. And conversely, despite our initial conditioned nausea, we don't need to keep holding it against certain others that they are kind. There is nothing wrong with them for being sweet. There is something very sad and wounded about our own past that makes us so easily sickened by their gentle manner. If any of this sounds like you, it is urgent that you tell yourself a new story. The person who has maltreated you, or is maltreating you, will never change based on your hope alone. Your boundless, beautiful, and tragic hope that they might is not rooted in any present reality. It is the ghost of a childhood that obliged you to keep faith with people who know free adult person should ever have had to keep faith with. Let's simplify everything. There is one, and only one, core criterion that determines whether we should be with someone, whether or not they are consistently kind to us. This single, powerful question acts as a lighthouse, cutting through the fog of our rationalizations and hopes. If they were kind but are no longer, we need to leave. If they're kind only a small, unpredictable percentage of the time, we need to leave. If they show only the promise of kindness but no consistent delivery, we need to leave. We must, with all the courage we can muster, break our addiction to a suffering that we were not owed then and definitely don't deserve now. But breaking this cycle is not just about leaving, it's about arriving. It's about the profound, life-altering journey of coming home to yourself. It involves walking out of the familiar chaos and feeling the sun on your skin for the first time, realizing with a jolt that it was always there, waiting for you. The journey towards healing is the most courageous and essential act of self-love you will ever undertake. It will be quiet at first. The silence that follows the drama isn't empty. It's fertile ground, filled with the potential for you to rediscover who you are without the constant anxiety, without the desperate need to perform for a scrap of affection. You will learn, slowly and steadily, that real love isn't a battlefield. It's a safe harbor. It is steady, it is calm, and it is deeply kind. And one day, perhaps when you least expect it, you will find it. Not because you got lucky, but because you finally, bravely made space for it. You will meet someone whose gentleness feels not like nausea, but like a deep, warm glow of recognition. It will feel like coming home, and you will know, with a peaceful certainty that fills your entire soul, that this is the love you were worthy of all along. If this story resonated with you, please know that you are not alone on this path. This is a shared human journey of healing and rediscovery. For more content on understanding ourselves, breaking old patterns, and building healthier, happier lives, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your story matters, and by joining our community, you become part of a vital conversation. Let's learn to heal and grow together.